What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode interview where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create amazing, epic, great lives for themselves and for their families, as well as have a large impact on other human beings while they exist. So today, guys, we got a special guest on the show, a guy that I'm really excited to have on the show. So this is a dude that, we'll get into his backstory, but he made a decision, man. He was going on a path that wasn't for him. He decided to take a big risk, follow his heart, follow his passion, jump into the real estate business, real estate industry, and just is on fire. His first year, 32 transactions, 250 grand in commissions. Really, if we boil it down outside of some systems, really not spending any money because 80% of his business is through expires, by pounding the pavement, working the phones, and he's just continuing to grow. This year now, his second year in the business, he started his team. So really stoked and honored to have Al Torrie on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Cool, man. Thanks, Charles. I appreciate it. I like this, man. I appreciate this. Nice intro.
Yeah, man. No, I'm stoked to have you on, dude. Cool. It's I love when I see just young, hungry, energetic, passionate dudes like yourself. Number one, that took a big risk, man, because you had a very, very great career, lucrative career that most people would have just been like, screw it, man, it's too much of a risk. So number one, you take that big risk to go out there and chase your heart and passion, and then you're crushing it, dude, right? So you
commit and then you figure out later, right?
That's it, man. I saw this meme one time that was like, showed a picture of an entrepreneur, right? And it was like the life of an entrepreneur, and it's somebody jumping off of a cliff and building their parachute on the way down. And, I'm not that it's quite that extreme, but a lot of times
we
it
don't
feels
want to
that
do
way.
that, but yeah.
So before we get into, how you got into real estate and how you just went out there and just killed it your first year and continue killing it, let's kind of talk about your path that led you here, man. Because again, it's a really interesting story, and I think it's super cool and something that we should talk about. So, what was the path that led you here? What was kind of going on internally, and what led you to real estate?
Yeah, dude, that's a cool question. Do you want a short version or the long version here, man?
Man, I want the good, powerful version, baby.
The powerful, yeah, dude. So I grew up in the family of real estate. So I grew up down in Miami, and I've seen real estate growing up, so I knew eventually I would end up doing real estate at some point. I just didn't know it was going to happen I just didn't know I was going to have to white knuckle it the way I had to, But for me, it all started about, I would say, 2013. I made a big jump, But overall, I tell you, man, one of the things that I learned is you just literally commit first, and then you figure it out later. I mean, that's what happened to me. I've had great mentors and people that really helped me along the way. But look, man, if you go back, I tell you, I don't know if the audience knows this, but hopefully you guys can relate to some of this. I switched careers. I went to pharmacy school back in 2005, and I graduated as a pharmacist. And look, I actually have been working as a pharmacy tech for a while, and so I thought that I knew that was exactly what I wanted to do. So I graduated in 2005, and I remember to this day, dude, I was walking into a pharmacy as a pharmacist, and actually in the West Coast of Florida, and I said to myself, "Holy cow! If I stay here, it's going to be the death of me. This is like crazy." And I knew it. I remember it's like a declaration. Once I made that declaration, it's almost like I put myself in that path, So I said, holy cow, dude, this is going to be the end of me, man. Because there was so much about the industry that I didn't like. And there was so little that I liked. There was so much that I didn't like. It was really tough for me to follow my dream of actually going into the healthcare field and helping people, because it was very limiting. So go back 1 year before, I had a car accident where, dude, I almost lost my leg. I was strapped in a car for 2 hours. And anyway, so long story short, my last year of pharmacy school, I was pretty much like on a cane and a wheelchair for a whole year. So imagine that. When I was able to walk and graduate, it was like a big freedom. So for me, it was like, hey, man, 6 figures as a pharmacist, and I could just go and live my life at 24 years old. I'll take it. But the minute I walked into that pharmacy, this is not something I could do. So anyway, fast forward, I ended up moving back to Miami in 2006. And I was working as a pharmacist down there. I did really well, actually. As a matter of fact, I did really well. And then I just thought I'd do it temporarily. And I bought my first real estate property. Guess when? In 2005, which was the height of the market. And I was like, that's when I saw the worst of real estate. And I said, wow, so something here's got to happen. So I stayed with pharmacy, and it's like every year it got progressively worse. I was just more miserable every year, more miserable every year, more miserable every year. Dude, I was just like down the wrong path. So finally, it was like 2012. I decided to take my real estate course. It was September of 2012, and I didn't actually take the test until 2013. But I took the class, and I was like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. But I was still working as in the other industry. I think the big leap for me happened. I would say I met my girlfriend, which is my wife now. Actually, we've been married for years now, but we met, I would say, 2011, and she was just an amazing girl, man. She was just tough, and she was trying so hard to get me to get my head right, to either switch careers or get on the right, just do something to just change something, like wherever I was, there I was. Like I was just not doing anything. I was pretty much just working as a pharmacist and not changing what I needed to change. So, dude, I tell you, man, like I remember my brother lost his right arm in a motorcycle accident. And I was like, then my first daughter was born prematurely. Dude, I was like going through such a tough time. Personally, I reached that point. That was like 2013, I would say, that I had to actually take time off of work. I actually called, at the time, my boss and said, hey, listen, I got to take some time off. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but first of all, I kept going back to the doctor over and over and over. I said, listen, my leg hurts. I broke my leg 10 years ago. Give me some medicine. I need something for pain. He gave me some pain. Give me something for pain. And they're like, look, dude, you don't need shit for pain, man. You just go out there and keep working. I was like, man, I'm on my feet working as a pharmacist 12 hours. Like, you got to get something for pain. I got to get something for pain. So, dude, long story short, I like those things. I like them for a little too much, So, but I could put them down when I didn't take them. And if I took them, it was great. If I didn't, it was great too. But overall, I could live my life better if I was standing on my feet and I was taking something to help me cope my pain. But I realized the pain was really inside. There was just so much stuff going on with me all at the same time, dude. So long story short, back in 2013, my wife was my girlfriend at that. She was determined to get me to get my shit right. And dude, she put me up against the wall, dude. I really ended up in a situation that I had to check into a 28-day treatment center, dude. I said, look, man, you got to check me into 20. I need to clear my mind. I need to just start from scratch, and I need to start from over. So that's pretty much where it all started for me. I spent 28 days in there. It was really cool at the beach right over here in Florida. And it really was like a reset for me. It was a reset that had been waiting for since 2005 when I graduated. So I hope it really kind of makes sense for people that when you're really going in a certain path and you're not in the right path, you just gotta stop doing something and getting on the right path. So it was about, I would say, August of 2013. So I did the deal. I did my thing. I spent about 4 weeks in there. I met this really nice gal, this lady Michelle, and she was like recommended by like, she was like, at the time, she was one of these like mystics, like psychotherapists. She wasn't like the therapist that were like hung up on your problems. She was more like, she taught me how to visualize and how to, reset my thinking and work on all that stuff. And long story short, man, I spent the whole 18 months following to September 2013 just working on my mindset, and it wasn't until 2014 when I was actually going to go back to my pharmaceutical job. And I said, look, I'm all better now. I got to get back to work. Dude, this lady, Anne Marie, she's a supervisor pharmacist at Walgreens. She's like, oh, no, dude, you don't have a job anymore. So it put me in a bad spot. I said, wait a minute, I just have a newborn. I got better. I'm all good now, dude. Why can't I just get my job back? She just basically said, no. So I handed me my pink slip, and that's it. I was done. So I was really put up against the wall. So I was really like, all right, man. So this is an opportunity. So fast forward, I did some pharmacy work for about a year. And then it wasn't until my mentor kept telling me, hey, man, you got to go completely go all in. You got to go all in. And then that's when I basically went all in December of 2015. I get really lucky. I actually started coaching with Mike Ferry in 2013 and 14 actually. And I coached with him for about 18 months. And then now I have a different coach. And first year, I would say I went full-time, full throttle, December 2015. And my first year, I closed $250,000 in GCI. And this year, we're doing pretty good, man. We're gonna at least try to double that this year. So that's the short version.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So then, so while this was going on, I mean, it sounds like you had your real estate license as well. I mean, were you kind of dabbling in real estate on the side as well as doing the pharmacy thing, or did you just kind of have it as you knew at some point you wanted to use it?
I just didn't know the kind of work it took. I just, when I got into real estate, I thought it was going to be, my phone was going to be ringing off the hook. I really thought that people were just waiting for me to get my license. Because look, Josh, man, look, when I got my pharmacist license, people were calling me to give me a job. So they were calling me, throwing me six figures in my face. So it was really easy for me to feel that that was something that was going to happen to me in this day. So I got my license just to kind of dabble a little bit in it, just here and there. And then I realized what a sales career it was. And that's when I saw the opportunity personally for me to develop, create my own business the way I wanted to create it. So I just happened to end up in the sales field that I had no clue it was all sales. And I think that, I don't know, I struggle with that. I don't know if a lot of people do, but I definitely struggle with, realizing that this is all 100% sales. Because man, there's so much more that goes into a sales business, the mindset, the skills, the fear when you're cold calling. So I wasn't planning on doing this full time, man. I wasn't planning at all. I was hoping to flip a couple houses, make up a couple $100,000 and make it the easy way out, easy way out.
Yeah.
And it didn't pan out.
So then, okay, so you hit December 2015 and you're like, screw it, dude, I'm going chips all in, man. I'm going full time here. So then you jump in that next 12 months, your first, full year, let's call it year and a month, right? So, I mean, you crushed 32 sales, 250 grand in commissions. I know 80% of that came from expireds. And based on the stats I was reading about, 90% were phones, 10% from door knocking. So let's walk into that, man, because most realtors, 90% of realtors failed in their first 3 years. And I don't believe it's because of a lack of capital and other stats that get thrown out there. I think it's just a lack of effort, dude, right? They don't know the true amount of action it takes. So kind of walk us through that, man. Like why expireds? How did it start? What did an average day look like, to go out there and create that type of production? I don't know if you know this, but your average first year real estate agent out of school makes 10 grand.
You're kidding.
Right? So, it's pretty gnarly.
That's enough for me to cut my wrist. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So, dude, I mean, look, I appreciate people like you because you, Colton, you guys put product out there for people to get out there and do the work. And I think that's the difference between the people that can close 32 deals on the first year full-time and the people that don't. Look, I had no choice, man. I was going to go bankrupt. I was literally going to just lose everything. So I decided that the best way to grow this business would be to go to the lowest hanging fruit, which would be expired and FSBOs. And I don't know about you, man, but I hated FSBOs. I just had no patience for them. I like the expires that were just driver expires were my favorite. Listen, if you were a driver and you expired, I was going to list you no matter what. I was going to get your listing. And that's pretty much what I focus on. So, I actually had a coach, right? Then I met, I got a coach back in 2015. Then I got a new coach in 16. So for me, my focus was basically getting up at 5 a.m. This is my whole schedule for a whole year, even to this day. But I would wake up at 5 a.m. From 5 a.m. to 5:45. Actually, we used to role play with people that I would meet. I would go to the seminars, the Mike Ferry seminars. And I used to collect phone numbers of agents that were sitting around me. And the people that were a little bit more motivated than most people, I would try to get in touch with them and I would role play with them. So I would role play at 5 a.m. And I would, it was like beginning of 2015 when I was kind of dabbling in it. I was being coached, but I was just I was pretty much just doing the work, but not talking to people. I was practicing, but I wasn't doing the work, if that makes sense. So I was actually doing the work, but not talking to people. So in other words, I was training my skills, but not necessarily talking to anyone. And the first time I picked up the phone, I was like, dude, this is hard work, man. This is crazy. And people were just nasty on the phone. And I just knew that that if I kept doing it, because I knew I was going to win, Josh. Look, man, it was my work ethic and my discipline, which is really what I have today, is the capital for me that takes me to where I'm at. It was really it. So my discipline was just hardcore, man. I went at it like a madman. I was sleeping like 5 hours a night. I would get up, practice, get on the phones from 8 o'clock in the morning until about 11:30. And I had nothing going on in the afternoon. So I would get back on the phones at 1 o'clock, and I would go on the phones all the way to 5 o'clock again. And I would just fail after phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call. And I kept hearing people telling me like, hey, dude, the successful agents were telling me, just push through the fear, push through it, just keep going, keep going. And a friend of mine used to tell me, hey, the only way to lose in this business is if you stop doing what you're doing. And that pretty hit me hard. I was like, okay, cool. So you're telling me even if I'm failing at this shit, I could just keep doing it and something's going to stick. And I started to door knock December of 2015 and picked up 2 listings. The first time I went door knocking, 150,000 range, it was cool. And what else? Let's see. That was December 2015. So I came into 2016 with a lot of traction. So I ended up, fast forward January, I joined we did our mastermind with Colton, and I surrounded myself with some really cool dudes that were really all about the business. So I picked up a lot of new tactics, how to door knock better from Brian Casella at BC taught me that, and then how to get on the phones better. I just started watching a lot of different YouTube videos. So when January came around, man, to this day, you can ask anybody in my office, dude, I'm the first one here. I mean, 90% of the time, I'm the first one here. And it starts like that. 8 in the morning, I'm on the phones. And at about 3 o'clock, I go door knocking. And that's pretty much it, man. I think personally, I just know that nothing will stop me from doing what I'm doing, because I don't have to tolerate certain people, certain sellers, if I keep generating more leads and more prospects. And that's kind of like my mentality today. Like I went on a listing appointment yesterday, and I was like, dude, this girl is not motivated at all. And I was like, I just closed my book and I said, I'm out of here. Like, because I could do that because I know I could go back on the phones and pick somebody up, And finally, I started doing some marketing. So I started using the internet more. I'm doing a lot more postcards, a lot more direct emailing. So I'm actually generating business from that. So that gives me more peace of mind that I don't have to generate all my leads from expireds. So I feel better about that. So yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And you're so right, dude. I mean, it's such a good place to get into when you have an abundance of leads, and really abundance of leads that you're converting to appointments where you're not in a desperate state. Right? You can start to be kind of picky and not working with those clients that are just vampires, man, that just drain the shit out of you, right? So going back to, again, that first year. So you're door knocking, like you said, man, I mean, essentially you're in the office, you're starting your dials by 8 a.m., so you're dialing for 2.5 hours. In the evening, you're going out there and door knocking for another 2.5, 3 hours. And these are expireds, right? So give us an idea of, number one, how much action to go out there and get a listing, right? Because I think that's something, a lot of people don't think of. They think they'll get burnt out because they called 30 expireds and nobody said yes, right? And shit, it could take you 1,000 to get a yes, right? So what was the amount of action? I mean, how many phone calls, how many doors did you have to knock on average to get actually one listing?
Dude, it was a ton of work. So I would typically have to call at least 75 people to 80 to get a listing appointment. And then they would get canceled. I would just set them after 75. It would take me about 100 contacts to get an appointment. So I was calling about 45 people a day. So it would take me, I would get like one appointment a week, and then it would get canceled. Door knocking, man, door knocking is not very time effective. So I would only do it for about an hour and a half. And, but when I did it, I was really intentional about it. I had my phone off, and, except for now I finally get out there and do some live videos while I'm door knocking. But overall, man, when I first started doing this gig, I would just get out there and just be completely 100% focused on on the door knocking. But I would have to hit at least 100 doors to get a cold lead, really. 9 months out, something like that, 100 doors. And I would talk to about 45 people a day. It would take me about 100 people to make an appointment. My closing ratio was like 20%. People that would hire me, I think, because they felt bad. They were like, dude, this guy looks like he could use a business, man. Let's just give you the listing. It was not skills. But you know what? What happened as my skills got better, my fear just kept going down, down, down. Today, I could pick up my phone, dude, and call any lead and talk about and just call them right now. I don't care. Now my skills are so much better that I'm ready for whatever they're going to sell. Whatever they're going to tell me, bro, I know what to tell them. It doesn't matter. The answers are always the same. So now I feel that way. So it's a lot different. I could be somewhat distracted when I'm doing it, and I can still do a good job at it. So, but look, it took a lot of pounding the phones, to even get remotely good at it. I tell you what, I remember last year. I remember last year at one point, I took 8 listings in 1 month, and that month I must have talked to like 600 people, but that was after I'd done it for months.
Right.
So it's a cool business, because if you're doing what you're supposed to do day in, day out, it's like accumulation effect is powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. It's like once you get that 1 month, 50 grand close. I took $1 million listing last year in second month of the year. My second month, full-time, third month, actually, I took $1 million listing, sold within 45 days. But it was action after action after action, which is the same thing now, man. If I'm just calling people and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, something's gonna stick, because I get better at it every single day, man. I've definitely earned my ranks. Like I've been on the phones calling people and nonstop to this day. So this morning I spoke to 14 contacts. I made 1 for sale by owner appointment for next week, and but I'm better at it now, dude. I'm much better at it, dude. I could do it from my car. I can prospect. Then I can prospect from the gym if I really wanted to, for that matter. To be honest with you, it's easier now, But that initial phase, I think I lost my hair with that face, man. It was tough. Dude, it was tough, man. It was just tough, real hard.
Yeah. So and then, those that are watching and listening, I mean, so when he's talking like 70 contacts to equate to a listing, that's somebody having a conversation with. So, if you're just saying like it's a 10% answer ratio, it may be 700 people, or if you get a good call answer ratio, 500 people to have those 70 contacts. And, again, I just, and the reason I go deep, or wanted you to go deep in that and talk about that is again, I just don't think people are prepared, and maybe not just prepared, they just don't know the level of action it actually takes to go out there and create that momentum.
Yeah, that's true. And for everything we do, actually, I'm recruiting agents now for my team. And I thought I had it right the first time, and I failed at it. So I went back out there and I had to 10X my activities to recruit people. That wasn't easy either. So whatever we're doing, I've learned that it really takes like freaking 10 times the amount of energy and effort that I thought it would take initially. So when it comes to calling, I think my Vulcan dialer Mojo says I've called like 100,000 people by now. It's like a crazy number. I mean, I've just dialed so many dials. So when you look at that number, you realize, dude, I've been working my ass off. I definitely have. And it's the quickest way to build a business on the phone, in my opinion. Yeah. It's the quickest way to build a business. And the one thing I learned in the Mike Ferry retreat that I went to back in 2014, before I got into this business full time, I learned Mike Ferry said one thing: listen, talk to 30 people and you'll make 6 figures. Talk to 30 people a day and you'll make 6 figures. So that resonated in my head over and over and over. I was like, dude, so if I talk to 30 people, I can go back to my salary, my old career, So talk to 30 people and you make 6 figures. So now, thinking about that, I say, hey, I just got to get back on the phones and talk to 100 people if I got to talk to 100 people. And then actually, I'm a bit of a freak, man. I really love the phones. Today, I truly enjoy being on the phones, man. I have fun with it. It's cool. So, but it was not always cool.
Yeah. Now, I think the cool thing is, because if you get 100, let's say the 100 top agents, residential real estate agents that exist on the planet in a room, each of them is going to have somewhat of a different strategy, whether that's expireds, whether that was circle prospecting, whether that was open houses, but the one commonality is that they got laser focused on one thing and they mastered that one thing. It wasn't like they're trying to go out there and do open houses, circle prospect, do expireds, do FSBOs, and scatter all over the place. It's like
I'm doing that stuff. You know, Josh. Now I'm starting to do all that shit. Like, I just order a bunch of new signs. Next week we're gonna start hitting it up with your mega open houses. We're gonna start doing that next week with Victoria, my buyer's agent. So that's stuff that I'm doing now, and I'm gonna master that shit too. And then I'm gonna master the postcard bits. I'm gonna master the internet. I've been reading this book on the internet marketing part, dude, and then Russell Brunson stuff. That stuff could be really powerful for my business. So I've been reading, trying to figure out how to do that stuff. And I'm staying up at night trying to figure out how to do that stuff now so I can master that part.
Yeah.
So, but because it's kind of fun when you start doing this, because then you're kind of adding streams of income when you start learning different methods of doing it. Because even if I don't get on the phones for 30 days, which I would not do that, I still have other ways that I will generate business once I master these other three things that I'm working on. So, I remember Colton, good guy, dude. Colton's such a good dude. He would tell me, man, whatever you do, create a system. He would say, whatever you're doing, create a system. So big shout out to Colton, man, because he was so hard on me creating a financial freedom system. That's a big thing now that I'm working on. And everything is a system, a follow-up system. So now with the open house, I'm going to do an open house system. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm working on, just creating systems for whatever I'm doing. My phones, when I get on the phones every day, I got a system now for the phones, a follow-up system for the CRM. Dude, and when you start putting those systems in place and learning new concepts and adding systems for those new concepts, it's a pretty fun thing, dude. It's pretty cool.
Well, and the cool thing that I love about systems, and I'm such a systems freak, but, systems ensure that the same processes happen over and over and over, nothing's missed, and then they become duplicatable and, of course, scalable. And as you get to the point in growing your team, it allows you guys to scale. And one cool thing, and this is part of your systems, is tracking, right? So now hey, let's just say I gotta call 700 people. That equates to 70 conversations, which equates to my one listing. With those expires. And the cool thing about once you know those numbers is it kind of becomes a game. Right? Like how many no's or F-offs or whatever you need to do to get to your yes and roll with that. So then the next question, of course, is, a lot of people that are like, okay, I get that. I got to pick up the phone. I got to dial. I got to go door knock. But what the hell do I say? Right? What was like an example of your phone script and then your door knocking script that you would utilize for expireds?
Yeah. So I've actually tweaked it to my own now. But initially, I think I used to use all Mike Ferry scripts. That's all I used. So if I was on the phones, I would call expired and I would hear the click before I even finished. But I would say the whole thing that Mike teaches, hey, this is Al with such and such company, and your company expired this morning. I'm looking to see when you're looking to hire the next agent to sell the property. And I realized that people were not really receptive to that. So, but I used a lot of the Mike Ferry scripts. But here's the thing, and I think your audience will appreciate this. I think in this business, I believe we go from knowing what to say to how to say it. Yeah. And I think the second part of it is so powerful that if you just stick with it, you stick with the script. I don't care what script. Kevin Ward, I like his scripts too. They're pretty cool. I've seen your scripts. They're pretty awesome. Any script that you grab, stick with it. Just stick with it because it'll give you the confidence, which is what I did, man, to create a system for my own scripts. And now the way my tonality, everything else that I've incorporated in my scripts, I think is more powerful than the script itself, in my opinion. So when I go door knocking, look, dude, like, check this out. When I call expires now, I say, this is Al Balser Real Estate, and your property popped up on my screen that I was wondering if there's anything we can do here to help you at this time. I would even throw that in there. And if I say it in a way that it connects with them, I get a good response, Or I would say like, hey, your property popped up as a for sale by owner. You want to see if there's anything we could do here to serve you at this time, And I would just, whatever it was, it really comes down to how you say it. But I definitely would stick with any script. Pick a script, pick a system, spend 90 days on it at least. That's why your 90-day boot camp is probably like so effective for so many people. Because if you stick with something for 90 days, okay, and then you develop your own system within it, it's probably the coolest thing ever. For me personally, it was. Tonality was a big deal for me, Josh. It really was. when I get on the phones, a script for, I don't do a lot of cold calling. I don't do any cold calling at all. I actually do which is circle prospecting. I do door knocking, which is I do cold doors, but not circle prospecting. And I find it really effective when I have a listing in the area to go out there and door knock, just listed, just sold. It gives me credibility, and people see me walk in the neighborhood. And at this point, I have, I think, 19 or 20 listings. So I have a good broad area where I can go and nail down a system of door knocking anywhere I go. So I do it on Fridays and Wednesdays typically. Like tomorrow afternoon, I'll go out there and door knock. The script that I typically use when I door knock is what script was I using recently, which I liked? Dude, I don't even know, man. I have to share with the audience. I'll probably post it up later. I think AJ gave it to me. You know AJ Maida?
Yep. Yeah, we've had him on the show. Yep.
Cool dude. Yeah, so he gave me some script and I've been using it recently. But it comes down to how to say it more than anything else.
Yeah. I agree with that, man. And just so you know, I forgot to tell you this up front, but we're streaming live in the group, dude. So if you see me look down at my phone, I'm not being like a rude, asshole over here. I'm just seeing if we have any comments or any questions.
Yeah.
One question that we have, which I know that we've hit on, but I don't know if you have your exact numbers that you can share. But how many expireds daily are you reaching out to? So daily, weekly, monthly in your market, and I'm assuming that's how many reach outs to equate to a listing.
Yeah. So. Can I just pull up my number analyzer real quick here?
Yep.
Be a lot easier if I just kind of pull it up here. So when I get here in the morning, I would call. Hold on here. Let's pull up this bad boy here. Tracking.
Is that Vulcan 7 that you're using right now?
Yeah, I'm using Vulcan 7. I recently signed up for I've been using Mojo recently now because their CRM is pretty powerful. So here it is. Hang in there, man. Jeez. Okay. Here it is. So let's say on a typical day here, I'm talking to about 32 people. On average, about 28, so 32. And out of the 32, says my closing ratio is 66% right now. Hold on. Because I'm looking at the whole thing, because I plug in my numbers every week on Sundays. So I'm looking to see here. I like looking at my dollars per hour. You like doing that? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's okay. I should have had this up there, huh?
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Are you using when you're using Mojo, man? Are you using the triple dialer, or do you prefer the single dialer so you don't have the switch
single
over?
Dialer. Single dialer. Yeah, man. I use a single dialer because I only call expires or FSBOs. So, and I will only call the most recent ones. We have a lot of them in our marketplace, so it's a lot easier. Okay, here it is, man. It says here my income per hour, $393 prospecting.
Yeah. Hard to beat that, dude.
It's not too bad. Huh? And then it's at $393 an hour. It says here, let's see, last week was bad, man, 67 contacts, but I got 4 appointments. So my ratios are much higher now. So let's say usually every 16 contacts, I get an appointment. Sometimes they cancel, but every 16 contacts, I get an appointment. But I'm calling FSBOs and expireds, and a lot of leads that I've had they're probably a year old. I took a listing last week, five and a quarter from a year and a half old lead. So I'm hitting everybody up, man. Expired FSBOs, old leads, old expires. Sometimes I call old expires, but even then I use the single dialer. It says here I've made 859 contacts this year so far.
Yep. Yep. Love it, man. Okay, dude. So then when it comes to these expires and FSBOs, are you just hitting them like right when they come up, or do you have a process where like, hey, I call them day 1, day 14, day 30, and then you get a point where you just stop calling, or is it just kind of the first time they come up, you give it one shot?
Yeah, this is the system I use, and I'll share with you guys. So I call every single new expired every single day. Okay, so what I mean by expired, when I get here in the morning, I'm calling expired and the canceled. Okay. I'm calling both. And my first go around is just the expireds. And then I dial again for my second number that I have from the canceled. So by the second time around, my pickup ratio is a lot higher because people are up later, whatever. It's about 9:30. So by 9:30, I've probably talked about 12 people. I'm calling brand new expireds. So by 9:30, I'm pretty much exhausted all my new expireds. I'm done. There's nothing left. So what I do is I go back to 2 weeks before, and I call people from 2 weeks ago. And I exclude anybody that was relisted, obviously, which is typically actually a small percentage. It's only like 20% or 15% that was relisted. So I'm calling expires that were 2 weeks old. But where I find the most useful of the best use of my time when I run out of expireds is calling for sub-buy owners, because a lot of these for sub-buy owners in our area are actually having a hard time. You know, they're not selling. They want top dollar for it. The market it's okay here, but not for sub-buy owner. So recently I changed my strategy. I actually changed my strategy because for some reason there's been a lot more people calling expireds recently. A lot more. It's been like hammer. People are getting hammered at 7. I was on the phone this morning at 7:40. And people say they had 12 calls already. I was like, 7:40 in the morning. I thought I was ahead of the game this morning, and I wasn't. 12 callers already had. So anyway, that being said, I'm calling the new expired and then the FSBOs, and then I'm calling 2-week-old expireds. One of the things that I'm going to start doing is calling really old expireds from like 2 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the stat is, roughly only 10% relist immediately, right? Most of them take a break, need a breather, whether that's 6 months, 1 year. And
10% is about right, man, actually. Yeah, 10, 15 most.
Yep. So Gabriel asks, because you went through this, what advice would you give someone who is about to burn the ships and go 100% full-time?
Dude, I tell you, man, there's so much advice to that question. Your skills. You just got to get down to business. I'm going to tell you something, man. Most people would not do this, but I would get on the phones for 3.5 hours in the morning. And at night when my kids went to bed, I would actually get on the phones and listen to every single one of my calls. Okay. And take notes and then replay all the calls the way that it would have sounded right. It was really kind of obsessive, actually, because I would grab all my calls from the morning, and at night I would retrain myself with every single call, regardless whether it went well or bad. I would just train myself to say it in a much more convincing way. And little by little, dude, 6 months into it, I got so good at it. So my advice would be make a hardcore commitment to literally banging out the scripts and the tonality and the true science of sales, which is really what it comes down to. Because by the time I went full time, I had been trained 12 months with the Mike Ferry coach. So that actually helped. If you think about it, I wasn't doing the work, but I was training on the scripts. So let's say you're brand new in the business, you just got your license. Before you get your license, I suggest you get a coach, in my opinion. But even if you just got your license and you're doing this, you got to be sickening obsessed with your skills. Look, the way I was doing it, nobody was doing it in my market. Nobody was staying up 2 hours late at night, reviewing every single call, dude. And then after I would review the calls, I would practice like a psycho over and over and over until it sounded right, the tonality. Like, dude, everything, whatever I would say, the tonality had to be just perfect. I had no tolerance for bullshit. I was like, dude, nobody's going to compete with me on the phones. And to this day, man, if I got on the phones right now, I guarantee I'll get an appointment within 10 or 12 contacts. Because, dude, I know I'm that good. So it comes down to your skills, because once you have your skills and your fear goes down, right? So like for Gabriel, like for him, if his skills were so powerful that he didn't care who he called, how he called, who he door knocked, I'll door knock 2 people on the way home tonight, for example, 2 expireds that are on my way home. And when your skills are so good and you jump ship and you change careers and you went full commitment, your skills are strong, you have a lot more opportunities, if that makes any sense.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, almost nobody is committed to that level of focusing on mastery. Yeah, I always say mastery happens when eyeballs aren't on you. So then, of course, you've got to, you still got to overcome things like, the actual pain of being rejected and other things. But, I mean, it fast forwards all of that stuff so massively. So I love that, dude. So, all right, bro. So, okay, so your first year, man, I mean, you're hitting expired. It's hella hard. Calling, door knocking, as you discussed. Let's then kind of transition into what you're doing now. How is your market, or how is your business really adapt and change? I know now you're starting a team. At what point? Let's before I get into that, I guess. At what point did you decide that you needed to start leveraging out and start delegating things out and create your team? At what point were you at in your business when that happened?
Let's see, it was last year, November. I had closed about $200,000 in GCI, and I was losing a lot of buyers. Even my own sellers were using other buyers' agents because I was so obsessed with expireds and FSBOs, man. I had no time for them, and I felt really terrible so then at that point I realized, I got to do two things. I need a full-time admin. Okay, so I'm really blessed here where I'm at in my company. I got a full-time person with me, and then I have a buyer's agent now. So now it's really, really exciting because, dude, I could start to see the product of all the hard work. Because like tomorrow, my buyer's agent is going to sit down with one of my sellers that actually expired because they weren't very motivated, and they called me again to relist it. And now my buyer's agent is going to sit down with them because we went under contract yesterday to find him a home. That's really cool. Like you were talking about before we got on the call, how it's like adding a new stream of income when you add a member to your team. It's like adding it's like a rental property, So we were in North Carolina. We had our mastermind group out there, and it was just it was just crazy stuff. It was like the stuff that I learned, team building and expansion mode and all this stuff. Plus, dude, I went to Mega Camp in August, and that expanded my thinking to a whole new level, man. So I'm in a really exciting place now because I'm going from a top producer to a business owner. That's like where I'm crossing over now. And so number tracking, number tracking on steroids, dude. And now I'm even tracking every dollar that I put out. Every single postcard that goes out every single day for expireds or FSBOs is being tracked on my tracker. If I sent out 7 this morning, so it goes in there 7. So I'm tracking every single thing I'm doing because I'm going again from a top producing agent to an entrepreneur business owner. So that's where I'm at today. And it was at one point last year when I realized that I was losing tens of thousands of dollars by not having a buyer's agent on my team. Part of me was scared too because I was like, how am I going to produce for 2 people? And I was like really freaked out. It's like, so how do I get somebody on my team and produce for them and for me? But it's been the coolest thing ever. Everything is falling into place because I put all the work before. And so I got the lead gen going on, and I'm going to add on a new lead gen actually, which is we're really excited about that. So dude, becoming a business owner more than a top producer it's a lot more. It takes a lot more methodology, whatever that is. It takes more thinking, more strategy, more tactic. It's not just calling expireds anymore. It's the whole thing. Okay. So how is my buyer's agent doing? What's my help? What's my admin doing that could help me more? What can I bring on to help me get better value for other people? How do I bring value to the buyer's agent? How do I bring value to my sellers? Now I got systems in place. Like we have canned responses. My admin helped me develop these things, canned responses for buyers and sellers when their properties go under contract. I'm just giving look, my level of service was actually kind of going down at one point when I had 200 GCI and I had all these pending, 10 new listings. It was like really crazy, dude. So I was just kind of giving bare minimum because I couldn't do 100% on everybody. So at that point I said, okay, I'm not going to suffer. Like my customer service was not going to suffer because I didn't want to hire somebody else. So I took the leap again, took the risk, and I committed, and I got 2 wonderful people now doing this deal. And obviously, dude, that's like the simple form because I did screw up a couple of times. I got somebody that I thought could help me, and then that didn't pan out. They wanted too much money, and it was not a good fit for me, and I had to let that deal go. And then I had to go back out there and figure out how I was going to do it. And it wasn't really smooth. It was not like a smooth process where like these people fell into my lap. It was more like interviewing people after people. Like this one guy, I wanted $7,000 to develop the systems, which I've already kind of I've been working on right now to develop. So, I mean, I hope this is helpful. If that makes any sense here. Like, it's really that process from being a top producer to becoming a business owner. I think is the biggest thing.
So then when it comes to that, dude, right? Because I mean, in the beginning, before you have all these listings and all these clients, it's easy to get in the office and just do nothing but prospect for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, whatever it takes. But then, okay, now you got the point where you got all these listings you're servicing, you got new appointments you're going on, you got deals in escrow, and you're having to fit in this prospecting. So kind of walk us through now today with all this that you have going on, plus training your teammates and all this stuff. Like, how do you manage your schedule to make sure that you're not taking the foot off of the accelerator, that the thing, of the things that produce the business in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool question, dude. And I could probably learn from a guy like you on that question. So what I started doing was really like getting a handle on my schedule. Dude, I don't think I manage my schedule anymore. I kind of control my schedule. I literally just control the shit out of my schedule. I said, look, these 30 minutes, man, I am doing this for these 30 minutes. And in the morning for 20 minutes, I'm doing something specific that I need to do for 20 minutes to feel good for my day. Then when whatever I'm doing, I'm controlling my schedule. Okay, these 15 minutes, I'm going to do this. These next, I do it in about 15 to 20 minute increments. And whether I'm prospecting, I take on my door, there's a sign that says schedule breaks. It says no interruptions allowed. Schedule breaks 9:40, 10:45, and 11:30 specifically, because I found that the minute I stay committed to my schedule, dude, everything else falls into place. And it hasn't been easy because I get a lot of distractions coming at me. Now I'm boosting my listing package. I'm boosting my buyer's package, like, because I have a buyer's agent now, so I'm working on getting a new buyer's package. So all these things that I'm working on, I think I'm falling a little short on controlling my schedule better. So I probably can learn from you how to do that right now.
Yeah. Well, it's so critical, man. I mean, I don't know anybody that's created success that doesn't have intentional planning going at every single day.
Right.
It's like I always preach, man. If you don't know from the second your eyes open to the second your eyes close what you're going to be doing throughout the day, you've already set yourself up for failure. And I love that you said you do the 15-minute increments, man, because let me see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah, that's it, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's my schedule, man, right here. It's a 24-hour schedule. All in 15-minute increments, dude, and it's like I'm just trying to condense time, and then it becomes almost like a game. Like, how much can I squeeze into 15 minutes that maybe used to take me 30 or 40? Now I can get this shit done in 15.
Actually, that's so cool you talk about that, man. Grant Cardone talks a lot about that, and I was at the 10X Growth Con, and he talked about that. It becomes a game, just like you're saying. It becomes a game. Like, how much can I fit in there? What can I do now? Like, so your list becomes so packed to do stuff. Like, you got so much shit to do in there that you're just like, you just keep doing more and more and more. And now, as I continue to leverage myself out, the 15 minutes become like 30 minutes. You see, because now I got more time. So that's the part that I'm adjusting to now. Like, the 15 minutes becoming longer. In other words, having more time. The 15 minutes, I have more time. I could kill 15 minutes if I wanted to right now. But because I have certain things getting handled. I have, my buyer's agent right now going to take a listing for rental, and she's going to show property tonight at 7:30. So that's getting handled. So technically, I could just go home and hang out with my family, which I just want to do that sometimes, But the key is for me personally commit to mastery, like I did for prospecting. Commit to 100% mastery of the 15-minute deal, man. I think the 15-minute increments for my schedule could really be like the pivot for me to just go crazy, literally. So I'm going to become obsessed with my schedule, Josh. I mean, I got no other option, dude. No other option, because I got more time now because things are getting leveraged, and a lot of systems are in place, so I don't have to be developing those systems. So now, it's really cool, man. I'm just excited to get obsessed with my schedule now that you talk about that.
Yeah,
really cool.
Well, and so many people look at obsession as such a bad word, but I'm like, dude, show me one successful person, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's an athlete or whatever, that wasn't obsessed at becoming, the best person they could be, the best person in their space. I've never met one, right? So I love it, dude. So, I know you talked about adding more lead sources. At what point do you make the decision to add more lead sources? I mean, is it, do you kind of analyze and say, hey man, we're calling all these expireds on this schedule. There's only so many expireds. We've got this more time. We need more. I mean, like, how do you connect the dots to know, and instead of doing more of this thing, now let me add another, funnel to it?
Yeah, man, I just been looking at my numbers, and I've been seeing the results I get from expired. So let's say I'm taking 5 to 10 listings a month on expireds, but there's only so much I could do with the expireds. So I need to generate leads for buyers now, because I have somebody that can handle the buyers. So why not do it? Okay, so I'm going to add on. I'm looking at 2 other systems, and maybe I can talk to you about that later on today. But I want to look at a system that can generate just the leads for the buyer's agent that can, maybe I need to pre-qualify them. But at some point I realized that the expired listings were only going to get me so far as a one-man show. The one-man show was not going to work for long. So for me to go from, look, right now we're on track to do, we're at least 30% more than we did last year. So let's say we close it out at 330 as a single agent. Now with a buyer's agent, there's no reason why I can't double my 250 from last year. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking, okay, going from 250 to 500. And that's, to me, it's critical for me to have somebody by my side having enough leads to work through and work them to increase that other, $150,000, $125,000 more in GCI.
Yeah, and then it just makes sense to connect the dots of, okay, hey man, I'm doing these expireds to get these listings. Now I got these listings. What can I do with these listings to go out there and expand my lead gen? And that comes into your circle prospecting for every just listed and every just sold. Right? You just keep adding things based on business that you already have, and eventually it just makes sense. Right?
Right. Yeah, and it's really cool because it's also a branding thing too. Josh, like it helps me brand myself better, if that makes any sense. So now I get to share, like I get to pull cool signs, open house signs in an area that I'm doing an open house. Now I could target those areas and get more leads from there. So it's really exciting because it actually increases brand recognition, if that makes any sense. So that's one thing I want to learn from you. Actually, I remember you talked about having your car wrapped with your brand, and that was really cool. I think you talked about that once. So whatever it takes at this point, I just want to expand my brand, and that's one of the things that I'm doing to create more buyer leads.
Yeah. Yep. No, I love it, man. Yeah, I just got to the point where, like, for me, like, hey, I'm driving this, at the time it was a Hummer H2. I'm like, I'm driving this damn car anyway. I might as well wrap it, do something cool with it, where then it's parked around town the days I'm not driving it. It's parked out front of my open houses. It's parked out front of my office. And then I'm like, hey, man, I got these 2,000 open house signs I got to store somewhere. So let me then go buy a moving truck. I bought an old used moving truck for $5,000, and I just stored all my equipment in there, right? And I'd park that around town, and just things I needed anyway. And then it just made sense to wrap it around there, and it just starts happening, man. It's killer, dude. So
that's awesome.
Where do you see yourself with your team? Because you've got a young team. I mean, you've only been at this full time for a couple years now, and
right.
You're really expanding and growing. And I know you've talked a couple times about running a business, not just having a job within it. Like where do you see yourself expanding to within this? Like, do you kind of have a model that you want to go out there and follow, with your overall expansion of your team?
Yeah, dude. So I did a lot of research on that. For now, I think the model that's working for me very well is adding the 3 buyer's agents that I have in mind, and then having a showing agent to assist the buyer's agents. And then I continue to be the lead. I continue to be the lead listing agent for now until I can leverage that out to someone else. So my goal for the next 12 months is to add on another buyer's agent and to bring on a showing agent. And then I can start to train someone on the skills of being on the phone and prospecting for expired and FSBOs. Or, another thing, I'm adding a new system of generating seller leads online. So I'm going to try to add these things together for a lead listing agent to go practice on and get better at it. And then I continue to be that person for now. So 3 buyer's agents is my goal. 1 showing agent. I need to get a marketing person, which I've been interviewing a couple recently. Had a great interview with one dude recently, and I think we're going to do a deal. But this guy's going to help me expand my brand So when I bring on the 2 and the 3rd buyer's agent, which is when I looked at my model, man, I was looking at it the other day. So I pretty much had, so because when you ask about model, it's so important to have a model, something to work on. So I was looking at, so myself and then 3 buyer's agents. And then right beneath that, I was going to have a showing agent to help one of the buyer's agents, if that makes sense. So then I started to expand out more by getting someone that can be a listing agent. And then I could be more of a, of a training my staff. And then I could, I mean, there's so many ways to do that. And this is like my plan here, and it's working out well, but you got to tweak it. I'm going to have to tweak it. I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to say, hey man, this plan, it's good for now, but I got to tweak this and make it this way. I don't know, man. Any suggestions? Do you have any idea, any suggestion what I could do? I mean, you've been doing this a long time.
Well, one of my favorite business books is Ready, Fire, Aim, right? So many people think it's Ready, Aim, Fire, but it's like, I mean, I've changed my team model so many times, and we're going back to changing it again, right? And until you try it. And the thing is, everybody's culture is different. So many things are different. And what I love about, real estate and just whether it's models or lead generation, it's like working out. There's 1,000 ways to get in shape. You just got to pick the path that's best for you and
stick with it, right?
Yeah. Now, do you see yourself wanting to? Because you seem like a dude that just loves kind of the rush of being on the phone and getting the appointments. And I mean, do you ever see yourself like stepping out as far as a full-time, just like a CEO of your team, or do you have such a passion for that where you kind of see yourself always having a role of being the rainmaker as well?
Dude, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to that. I think I truly enjoy being on the phones when and the rush of it and getting in front of people in the interview. But at some point, it's grueling, dude. Sometimes the business could be grueling, man. So could I'd like to have somebody with me that could do the job that I'm doing just as great or maybe even better. And then I could go from the outside and be more of the visionary, because that's really more of like the person that I am. I could visualize the 3 buyer's agent, the showing agent, the lead agent, myself, getting myself out of it, bringing somebody in, generating more leads, keeping marketing costs down. Like I could visualize the whole thing, how it could look. So, but I need somebody to be a rainmaker, because right now that's what I am. So until I have that person, I need to continue to focus on generating leads. I take a ton of listings, and I just keep busy with that. But I could also keep busy with recruiting agents, dude. That could be fun too. I could go crazy. Look, I had a great time. I was interviewing a kid till 11 o'clock this week p.m. Because I was interviewing this kid on the marketing stuff that he's doing. It's like, holy cow, this stuff is really mind-boggling. So this internet stuff is super cool, by the way. You could just create and create and create. It's super cool. But so the bottom line is I could have as much fun finding people to grow my brand and grow other people's businesses while as I'm doing this. So if my buyer agent can go from 75,000 to 150,000 in the next 3 years, that means I'm doing something right. And if I have 3 of those doing that in the next 2 years, that means I'm doing something right. So could I get out of it completely 100%? I don't know. Colton is doing that. He's doing a great job at it. AJ has the best schedule in the world. I want to mimic his schedule. His schedule is the bomb. He's always at the lake hanging out and with his. The dudes just have a cool life, I'm pretty busy out here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. So yeah, I had a mentor of mine who's now become a great friend. I still look him at his mentor, even though every time I call him a mentor, he always tries to correct me on that. But we become good homies, and his name's Ryan Finch. I've had him on the podcast. He wrote a really good book called Real Estate Explode. Or maybe it's Explode in Real Estate. But anyway, he was the number two RE/MAX agent in the world at the time, and this is when I was at RE/MAX, and I was like stuck in that $40 million a year production for several years. I mean, my business was growing, but it was like 41 to 43 million, and then to 45 million. So I went out and reached out to him and shadowed him. Actually, him and his wife also has a top team. She has over 1,000 deals a year, and total separate teams though, total separate companies. But anyway, I sat down with him, and he's like, dude. If you want to take your business to the next level, he goes, I want you to write down the number 50. And he goes, I don't want you doing anything inside your business that does not result in the 50 transactions. So he goes, how do you get to 50 transaction? That's going out there and developing a relationship with a builder client, an REO a client, or most readily going out there and then recruiting agents that can be on your team. Maybe they're not doing 50 deals a year, but they'll do 50 deals of the life of the time that they're on their team. And that was one of the biggest changes in my business that skyrocketed me to, the 100 million plus, and then this year we're on track to do over 200 million. Just going to that philosophy, right? Because then you still get that same rush because it's the same. Hey, I got to do X amount of dials to have conversations, to X amount of appointments, and and then boom. But now it just becomes that different level, which is. Yeah. So there's always that element, you know what I mean?
There's always, and then another thing I struggle with sometimes now, it's like, okay, so I have this much money that I could use for this to take my business to this new level. Should I add on a new CRM? I don't know. Should I add on a new lead generating system? Should I add on a new marketing person? Could I add? So it's got to be the one that's going to give you the best ROI. Yep. Period. But sometimes you don't always have all the answers. So I start looking up. I ask a lot of questions to a lot of people that know more than I do, and I say, okay, cool. So if like what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. If my target, if I'm going from 12 million to 20 million this year, let's just say, and then next year I'm struggling to go from 20 to 22, I need to have my eyes on recruiting the right people and having the right systems to help people create their own business within my organization, really. So it becomes like a culture thing. And I think that's kind of what I'm heading. That's definitely what I'm heading to do now, working on my culture, bringing more buyers agents, more leads, and just seeing where the money should go. What is like the green red light concept or something like that?
Green light. Yep. 100%, dude. Yeah. So Ronnie Ronnie Phillips got a question for you. He says, what about having a buyer's agent pay for the showing assistant, building their business within your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's an option. I've been thinking about that. What, 5%? I don't know. 10%. I got to come up with a number. That's still such a premature part right now, maybe 6 months away. That is probably one of the things that I'm going to talk to these guys. I'm going to meet with these guys in San Diego. We're going to do our mastermind in San Diego. So it's going to be really cool. So I'm going to ask all these questions. What do you think, Josh? Should the showing agent be paid by a buyer's agent, or should the lead agent be paying the showing agent? I don't know.
Well, the only one that I know that sustainably for a long time has had the great lead buyer specialist showing agent model. It's something that, it sounds like a great, lucrative, sexy model, but I don't see many that are able to sustain it long term. But the one dude that I do know who's also a Keller Williams agent, right, named Ryan Dallas. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. He's out of Champaign, Illinois, $100 million plus a year producer in a tiny little town. But his lead buyer agent has 2 showing assistants underneath him. And the dude he doesn't leave the office, right, as a buyer's agent, but he does over $300,000 a year after splits in commissions.
Wow.
But the showing assistants are paid out of his portion. So he pays I think all said and done, it ends up being, it's a salary, but I think it's about $60,000 a year in the 2 showing assistants. So now he's netting $240,000. But he's kind of working his, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and
as a buyer's agent,
yep. Is it? Wow, so reach out to Dallas, man. He's a good cat, and he's ran it well, man. So
basically 2 buyer's agent underneath 1 buyer's agent.
So he's got two showing assistants under 1 buyer. So his buyer's agent is following up with all the leads, setting the initial appointment. They do the initial consultation in the office, get them pre-qualified, introduction to the showing assistant. Showing assistants go out there, find them the home that they want. Once they're ready to write an offer, they come back to the office with the lead agent, then boom.
Cool.
But either way, when you break it down, and I guess this is to Ronnie as well, is it's going to come out of the buyer agent's pocket, right? Because either you can't run that model by paying somebody a 50-50 split. If you're running lead gen for them and they're on a split, either you're going to lessen the split that they get, maybe you take it to a 60-40 where you're getting 60, or one way or another, they're going to pay for it, right? Because you can't sustain it if you're carrying all these costs.
Good point. That's a great point. Exactly. So you either run it as the main business, or you let them run their business within their business.
Yeah. Right. AJ might have just jumped on and he's giving you a shout out.
Dude. I love that dude, man. He's always told me 2 things, actually 3. You pay too much. Yeah, because every time I would sit down with AJ, I'm looking to hire out this person, and I would say I want to pay them this much. He would look at me like if I was crazy. AJ is like the perfect CFO for any company. He's always looking at every single dollar, where it's going and what it's going to do. He's the coolest dude ever, man. So I definitely want to give him a good shout out. He's helped me create my team as well. So
Yeah.
Cool, dude.
Love it. Powerful, man. So back to your business. I know that you're adding these other lead sources, but it sounds like these other lead sources are relatively new. I don't know if you're getting, a big ROI on these yet or return on that. Yeah. So what percentage of your business still today? I mean, would you still account 80% of your current business to expireds today?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. 70%, I would say, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, what's the? I mean, are you getting? I mean, what percentage would you say FSBOs are? Because I know that you've been attacking FSBOs.
I've listed 2 this year, 2 FSBOs, I believe, 3 actually. I would say percentage-wise, I've taken 19, 18 listings here. I don't know, man, 10%.
Okay, yep. And the reason I'm asking, I just want to give the audience a great idea and perspective of what this looks like. I mean, a lot of people.
I'm looking for a powerful. I'm really looking for a powerful system for my buyer leads, and AJ and I have been talking about that recently too. You got one that's really good. I'm looking into that one. I mean, I'm just whatever can help my business grow and help my buyers agents grow into their own business. I'll do it. If it makes sense.
Yep. Love it, brother. Love it, man. So, I mean, dude, you got this massive drive and this massive hustle. What personally keeps you driving so hard? Because you get to a point where, like, I get it in the beginning, right? When you transition, it's like, dude, if I don't make this fail, like I'm failing, or if I don't make this happen, I'm failing my family, right? But then you get to the point where, dude, I mean, 250 grand is a lot of money. I'm guessing way more money than you made as a pharmacist. So you get to a point, and a lot of people reach this point where good enough becomes the worst enemy to greatness, right? So what keeps you, instead of just being like, hey, dude, life is good, I got these other admin now, I can kind of spend more time with my family, and, netting $250 a year, I'm cool with that. Like, what keeps you leveling up, dude, and going for greatness and not settling for good enough?
Dude, man, I think personally for me, it's the leader within me. I just feel that forget the money, forget all that stuff. Yeah, money is important. It's right up there with oxygen. That's what Les Brown says. But the truth is, it's the leadership within me that I just wake up with a fire within me that I'm just going to go out there and literally make a difference, dude. I'm going to put a dent on the world somewhere, somehow, in some way. And that's really what keeps me driven. I'm going to ask enough people. I'm going to talk to enough people where I get the answers that I need, where I could contribute to other people. Because I don't know, man. I feel like, look, I'm 36 years old, and like I went to college for 7 years, graduated with a doctorate degree, and nobody's ever asked me to see my degree. So when I look at my options now, my life, as great as I am as a salesperson, that I know I am fully trained, I feel like forget the money, just the leadership role and the value that I could bring other people. It's much more than the $250 a year or $500,000 this year. It's really about bringing in that leadership in my community. I donated last year thousands of dollars into my charity here. So I do stuff for other people. And to me, my kids, dude, private school ain't cheap. So I'm looking at my kids, their education, so my daughter needed this thing. So I had to put her into this additional thing. So whatever it takes for my kids to continue to grow and expand and become really other leaders in the community, it's really what I'm going to do, man. Forget the money. I don't think it's ever going to be enough money. Even if it's just $2, $4, $5 million a year, it doesn't matter. It's just about the leadership and what you're continuing. It's like a vehicle, right? I feel like I'm just a vehicle where the money comes through, and I get to be the leader at distributing to where it needs to go. Whether it's my family, my community, my charity of choice, whatever it is, dude, look, my daughter was born premature, so I donated, to March of Dimes. I like March of Dimes, a great organization, so I donate money to them. So I do certain things for other people beyond my belief system, just paying my mortgage. It's just other stuff that I'm doing. Yeah, it's a bigger purpose. It's a bigger purpose. Well, I think GC talks about that. You talk about that, having the bigger why. Just having the bigger why, dude. Like, why exactly am I doing? Number one, dude, I am not going back to being a pharmacist. That is a number one, dude. I am so committed to never, ever walking back in. And I could declare it to the world because, dude, I will do whatever it takes to set myself up so that everybody knows I'm saying this out loud and the world can hear this. I'm not going to go back in there, dude. I hated it. So that alone can keep driving me. But to build a business, the purpose is what drives me now, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, what I love about it, and a lot of people that maybe don't have a purpose, that aren't driven, they perceive it as greed, right? But I don't know anybody that's uber successful that it's necessarily about the money. It's about the contribution, and the money follows. It's like I got this big orange tree in my backyard, and that thing produces so much damn fruit, and it's always just dropping fruit all over the ground constantly, right? But it never stops producing fruit until the day the tree starts to die, right? And its purpose is to go out there and deliver fruit. And once you dial that in, man, what your purpose is, dude, there's no stopping you, man. So I love
There's no stopping, right? You just keep watering it, you keep doing what you got to do, and feeding it the right material. Man, I study people well, and I like to surround myself around the right trees, like you're saying. You got to really be around the right people, and control your circle, man. There's so much that goes into it, because I'm looking at my kids, right? I got two we got young children here now, and I'm looking at like people that are doing life with their children, and they have great children. So dude, they're obviously doing something right. They're not getting divorced. They're not cheating on their wives. These guys are literally doing a good life, and I'm looking at that and I admire these people, and that's what I want to do. So personally, I could get better at certain things. Spending more time with my family could be a good thing I could work on. So just about everything in my life has to do with my kids at this point, and they're young. They're what, 4 and 2.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. So if you knowing everything that you know now, dude, right? Because as we're expanding our businesses, of course we make a lot of mistakes that become great learning experiences that really, really define us to who we are. But if you, knowing everything you know now, if you could go back to yourself on December 2015 and give yourself like 2 pieces of advice, what would that look like?
Think big, baby. Think big. Just think big. I was thinking small. I was thinking 200,000 GCI, dude. Somebody need to get in my head and say, dude, just think bigger than that. Think just forget the 200,000. Think of a bigger purpose. And because it took, I think, Mega Camp last year, whatever, to expand my thinking to what's possible. Seeing all these guys like you guys just crushing it. So that's the one advice I would tell myself, dude. Erase the tape and replay a new tape with a whole new mindset of growth and millions of dollars rather than just hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Because I had the mindset of $140,000 I was making as a pharmacist, 120, 130. So I said, hey, man, it's 6-figure. That's cool. Like I was programmed to understand that was a good income, And then when I doubled that income, dude, it was like, okay, cool, dude. That doesn't do it. So what else is big? So now thinking bigger, it's what really inspires me. And I would have told myself that back then. And another thing I would have told myself is, really like do a better job tracking your numbers, because it was a hard lesson to learn when I didn't realize what was going on with my business, and my coach had to call me out on it, say, hey dude, I'm not getting your tracker every week. What's going on? You got to send me your tracker. So now finally, dude, thank God it became a habit now that I do my tracking every single week religiously. And I get to see how much money I make per hour. I told you earlier, I think it was like $400 an hour. So it's a really cool concept to track your numbers. I would have told myself 2 things, man. It's really cool because nobody ever asked me that question. I said, number 1, think bigger. Number 2, track your numbers. That's what I would have told myself.
Yeah, love it, man. So if those that are watching or listening to this, if they want to, follow you, learn more about you, and just kind of, again, follow you and watch you continue to kick ass, dude, where's the best place to do that?
So definitely follow me on Facebook. I put out good live stuff when I go door knocking. So follow me on Facebook at Al Torre, ALTORRE. It's a great place to get to know me and get to know how I transitioned from a 6-figure career into an entrepreneur business. I would definitely follow me now. It's a great place to get to know me. I appreciate that, the following on that. Also, I've been putting out some YouTube channel stuff, a couple of videos here and there, but the best place to find me is Facebook. If you got referrals coming into South Florida, definitely send them out to my email, info.torregroup@gmail. I'm going to throw that out there, the shameless plug.
You got to do it, man. Always be prospecting, baby. Yeah, love it, dude. So, I started this podcast about 2 years ago, dude. And the reason I started it was, there's a lot of great information, but there's a lot of shit information out there too. And I just got frustrated one day, and I'm like, instead of bitching about it, let me just create a space where we go out there and interview the doers, guys like yourself that are actually in the trenches, building amazing businesses, and then deliver that information back to an industry that's changed all of our lives, right? With that being said, those that are watching and listening right now, dude, are here because they want to go out there and create their own amazing life. So with that being said, man, do you have any last pieces of advice, inspiration, motivation, words that you'd like to leave our listeners with so they can do exactly that?
Dude, one thing I could say is, it goes along with what you just said, is invest in yourself. Just whoever's listening to this, because this is something I learned from myself. I invested in myself when I went to college, and I put 50 grand in my career to go get a degree, $50,000. And it got me so far. So when you invest in yourself I go to seminars. I just went to 10X Growth Con. Look, I go to seminars all the time. Like, whatever it takes, I get in front of the big thinkers, the people that are thinking way bigger than I am. So I would definitely suggest because you've got a great audience, man, to invest in yourself, in the right books, the right coaches, the right mentors, continuously. Like, not just for a week or 2 weeks, 2 months, 3, like forever, dude. We're going to be doing this forever. We're going to do life forever. I'm going to have a coach forever. I'm going to have mentors forever. And that's one thing I do. And truthfully, get your why right? Because I had to get my why right. I knew that I was not going back to my old career. So whatever it takes, I'm going to stick to what I'm doing, and I'm going to build something big, huge, man, big. Like, I'm just going to keep going big, helping a ton of people.
Yeah. Love it. Powerful words, man. And those watching and listening, I know I end every podcast with this, you guys, but information without implementation truly is the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information, taking action on that creates power inside your world. So Al just shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you guys. Take something that you learned today from Al and go out there and immediately start taking action so you can create that life you know that you want and deserve. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Al, man, truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here, man. It's been a lot of fun. It's been an honor, brother.
It's been awesome, dude. I appreciate this. I really do. You got a great show. You got great listeners and great audience, dude. Ronnie, AJ, Antoine, all these great guys are watching on Facebook. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So you got a great audience, man. Just you're doing a cool thing, dude.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man. Truly means a lot. All right, you guys. Well, thank you again for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.